Dear Professor, this is Team Anonymous presenting our group project. In our project, we created a suitable social media governance framework based on COVID-5 for a tech company called DBS. The first part is about DBS background, SWOT analysis, and stakeholders' needs. DBS Bank is a multinational banking and financial services corporation headquartered in Singapore. It was set up by the government of Singapore, and in 1999, it started its operation in Great Hong Kong. DBS uses social media mainly for four purposes: advertising, building trust with customers, beautifying image, and promoting awareness.
For the SWOT analysis, I'll briefly talk about the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of DBS Bank. For the strengths, being free and public, which are the well-known features of social media, are the identified ones. For the weaknesses, the intrinsic feature of social media, to have proper screening for content before publishing, copyright issue, and high-time commitment are the major ones. For the opportunities, there are two divisions: to reach more customers and to have more engagement with customers. For the first, there are mainly three account security issues, challenge of KOL, and malicious reporting.
After analyzing the company structure of DBS company, we list two kinds of stakeholders. The first one is internal stakeholders, including board, C-level managers, HR and IT managers, and so on. The next one is external stakeholders, including shareholders, customers, social communities, regulators, and policymakers, and so on. There are three major stakeholders drivers for the company. They are changing strategies to meet with customers and shareholders' needs, and changing social capital environment and new technologies. We list stakeholders' needs according to different level of management. The level of management including C-level management, marketing officer, IT managers, and so on.
For the main enterprise scope, we have stated number 3, manage business risk, save protect of assets. Now provide the justification for our selection. There are mainly 3 reasons: from the company background, from key stakeholders, and from business risks. For the company background, as we know, DBS is actually quite traditional, it's sophisticated and well known with a long history. But social media is relatively new tool, recently emerged. So, to use social media for a traditional company, actually we need more regulations for it. For the key stakeholders, we have identified the recent security managers and relationship managers as important ones. The stakeholder needs will make to practice number 3. For the business risks, actually is DBS based on business risks like causes on interest of customer, accountability risk, and waste of resources. The main articulated goal represents number 4, manage the articulated business risk. The main criteria is alignment with company's interest, like maintaining a good company image with the customers, help to build a good customer relationship, and give users some kind of dependence on it. For the justification of this articulated goal, this articulated goal is a primary goal from the mapping of enterprise goal in COVID-5, so it's given a high priority. And for good company image, if given some proper value against public vision crisis, and by being risk-free, the customers can have some trust in the company, so that a good customer relationship can be built. And being reliable means the company should subject to challenges and overcome them regularly.
Now comes to the enablers, which includes 4 IT-related processes and 2 other important enablers. The first IT-related process, managed strategy, is due to the large potential developing space in social media and the gaps between the target and the current performances. So we think DBS should redesign and align its IT plans with business objectives. And the first practice, 02, assess the current environment capabilities and performances, including establishing the baseline of DBS capacities to develop the social media business and services, identifying the risks from the current potential and the declining technologies, and identifying the current opportunities and threats. The second practice, 04, conduct a gap analysis, whose activities are elaborating the market research, including both online market and the traditional market, identifying the gaps and required changes to realize the target capacities, considering the implications, which means the possible results, and constructing the models to evaluate the potential changes. And finally, the practice 05, define the strategic plan and roadmap, including the activities such as defining the required initiatives, identifying the resource requirements, and re-engineering and updating technologies regularly, and so on.
Let me tell something about the process APO 13, Managed Security. This process is mainly about establishing and maintaining an information security management system and an information security risk treatment plan. The information security management system should include information security and employee securities. And there are three major practices for this process. The first one is establishing an information security management system. This includes defining the scope, defining the rules, and to consider something else that is also very important for the system. And the other two practices are establishing an information security risk treatment plan and monitoring and reviewing the information security management system.
I will now talk about the process MEA01, monitor, evaluate, and assess performance and conformance. This process has several purposes. Evaluate the use of social media by goals and metrics, monitor the social media activities by goals, and to provide systematic and timely reporting. In this process, we have identified three major criteria. The MEA03 collect and process performance and conformance data, analyze and report performance, and ensure the implementation of project plans. For the first one, the 0B1, is mainly about the use of technology to assess the social media activities and have some proper reporting. And for the 04, the major goal is to have some analysis and to find out some root cause in the social media problem and have some remediation action. For the 05 one is mainly about how the corrective actions can be implemented. It will involve the management units and also some monitoring on the responsibility division.
The last process is MEA03, monitor, evaluate, and assess compliance with external requirements. This process is to ensure that DBS social media is compliant with all applicable external requirements, such as laws, regulations, and contractual requirements. The first practice is identifying external compliance requirements. First, we should assign responsibility for identifying and monitoring external requirements changes for social media. Then, we can identify and assess all external compliance requirements and the impact on IT activities. Meanwhile, we can hire counselors to get professional advice. The second practice is optimizing response to external requirements. By regularly review and making adjustments, we can ensure necessary compliance. We also need to communicate new requirements to all related personnel because everyone is using social media nowadays, and DBS reputation can be largely influenced by its staff. The third practice is obtaining assurance of external compliance. There are two practices that I consider most important. The first one is performing regular reviews to assess levels of compliance. And the second one is to monitor and report on non-compliance issues.
As for the culture, ethics, and behaviors, the stakeholders mainly include the Facebook users and the DBS staff. And the goals are culture is well understood by customers and the core value is well practiced and implemented by all the staff. And the life cycle is to define and design enterprise value and the culture and to address culture to services and staff's behaviors. As for our good practice, we choose two from the COVID-5. One is the verifying, approving, and fulfilling the service requests. The other is establishing a monitoring approach. And as for the service infrastructure and applications, the stakeholders include customers paying for services and the users whose information is stored in our DBS database. And the goals are that addressing the high-quality customer services, building the good technical infrastructure, and standardizing the processing of services. And the life cycle, no more than 1 year, and is to maintain the good quality all the time. And the good practice is except for the APOs 1103 and 04, we create a new one, which is to define and implement a comprehensive technical infrastructure.
Our implementation plan requires 6 months, and we divided it into 4 parts. In the first month, we need to establish DBS overall strategy for social media, identify external compliance requirements, and set performance targets. We also need to establish an information security management system and define an information security risk treatment plan. In the second and third months, we need to set the criteria and approach for 2 processes, MEA 01 and MEA 03. In the fourth and fifth months, we need to monitor, evaluate, and assess performance and report non-compliance issues so that all non-compliance issues are well analyzed and performance values are measured internally and externally. In the last month, we need to review previous process, conduct corrective actions, and improve our framework continuously. This is the end of our presentation. Thanks for listening.